A lot of intelligent adults don't struggle their whole lives. That's what confuses them. They did well in school, they handled pressure, they built careers, people saw them as competent, and then suddenly they can't focus anymore. They procrastinate constantly, they avoid emails. Simple tasks feel overwhelming. They start missing deadlines. They feel mentally exhausted all the time. And the scary part, they start wondering, am I becoming lazy? Am I losing my intelligence? What the hell happened to me? But in many cases, this is not laziness. And it usually didn't happen overnight. I am Ibrahim, a licensed nurse practitioner and registered psychotherapist, and at our clinic we assess a lot of adults who say the exact same thing. I used to function. I don't understand why I'm falling apart now. And honestly, many of these people are extremely intelligent. That's part of the reason they stayed undiagnosed for so long. Here is what people often miss. Intelligence can compensate for dysfunction for years. A smart person can survive on last-minute pressure, they can improvise, they can cram, they can mask disorganization, they can rely on adrenaline, especially if they are naturally verbal, analytical, creative, or quick thinking. So externally, they look functional, but inside, they often operate in chaos. And eventually, life becomes too complex for compensation alone. Career, marriage, children, management roles, bills, emails, schedules, emotional stress, sleep deprivation. Now, suddenly, the same brain that once managed everything starts collapsing under load. And this is where people get this completely wrong. They think, if I was able to function before, then this can't be ADHD, burnout, autism, anxiety, executive dysfunction, or anything neurodevelopmental. That's false. Many high-functioning adults do not break down until their 30s or 40s. Not because the issue suddenly appeared, because the compensation strategy stopped working. A lot of these adults were never truly organized. They were urgency-driven. There is a difference. They relied on panic, fear, high pressure, last-minute activation, and overstimulation. That system works until life complexity exceeds mental bandwidth. Then suddenly, you stare at your laptop for 45 minutes doing nothing. You avoid opening messages because your brain feels overloaded. You start forgetting basic things. You become emotionally reactive. You feel exhausted after normal workdays. And people around you may say, you just need discipline. You are overthinking. You need to try harder. But internally, something feels genuinely wrong. I see this pattern a lot in professionals, teachers, lawyers, engineers, healthcare workers, business owners, managers. People who are objectively capable, but behind the scenes, their desk is chaos, their sleep is collapsing, their nervous system is overloaded, they are carrying massive mental clutter. Some become dependent on caffeine. Some start doom scrolling constantly. Some develop anxiety because they are terrified they're sleeping. And many develop shame. Because intelligent adults often believe, if I am struggling with basic things, then I must be failing. But executive dysfunction doesn't care how intelligent you are. Here is another part nobody talks about. A lot of smart adults survive by becoming experts in avoidance. Not because they're weak, because avoidance temporarily reduces overwhelm, so they delay the email, delay the paperwork, delay the project, delay the phone call. Then the pressure builds. Then panic kicks in. Then they complete everything at the last second. And people around them think, wow, you work well under pressure. No, they may only be able to access focus through pressure. That's different. And over time, this creates something dangerous. Chronic internal stress. Your brain never truly rests. You're always mentally carrying unfinished tasks, even during weekends, even during vacations. You're technically resting, but your nervous system is still active. Eventually, this can lead to burnout, anxiety, depression, emotional shutdown, or complete functional collapse. Sometimes the person who finally seeks assessment is the same person who everyone else thought had it all together. One thing I hear often is, I can still perform in emergencies, but I can't handle normal daily life anymore. That sentence is extremely important because many high-functioning adults can activate during urgency, but consistency, routine, sustained organization, administrative load, that's where things start breaking down. And it creates this confusing contradiction where the person looks capable but feels internally dysfunctional. And honestly, this is why many adults feel emotional after finally getting proper clarity, not because they want a label, but because for the first time their life starts making sense. Now, obviously, not everybody who struggles at work has ADHD or a neurodevelopmental condition. Sometimes it's burnout, sometimes anxiety, sometimes trauma, sometimes sleep deprivation, sometimes depression. But this is exactly why proper assessment matters. Not TikTok self-diagnosis, not random productivity hacks, actual structured understanding. Because when you understand the pattern properly, your next steps become much clearer. If this video felt uncomfortably familiar, don't immediately jump to conclusions, but also don't ignore it. Sometimes highly intelligent adults spend years blaming themselves for patterns that actually deserve proper evaluation and clarity. At Crocus Care, we assess a lot of these complex adult cases, especially people who appear high-functioning externally but are struggling internally. If you want to learn more, you can visit Crocus Care Solutions Inc. or explore some of the other videos on the channel. Because the goal is not labels, the goal is understanding what's actually happening.